Okay, folks, we are back with 8-minute webinar again, where we invite companies on to share a little bit about their hiring and interview process as it relates to students and early professionals. Today, I have Maddie Elkis joining us from Attentive Mobile, although I think you all just mostly go with Attentive, right? Or do you say
Yeah,
Attentive?
attentive.
Attentive, yeah. Okay, cool. First, Maddie, why don't you introduce yourself? Give us a little bit about what you do at Attentive.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Maddie Elkis. I'm the recruiting and HR lead at Attentive. So now my role is really focused primarily on recruiting for the sales organization, including the entry-level sales hires, as well as some other ops roles across the company as well.
And tell us briefly, what does Attentive Mobile do? Who do they serve?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are an SMS marketing platform. So we help businesses from verticals across multiple industries, really to help those companies leverage SMS as a means to connect with their customer or individuals on that kind of more personalized one-on-one method that really kind of helps to reach people more directly than something like an email ever will.
Tell us a bit about the founders
Yeah, absolutely.
background.
So our founding team has had prior success building and seeing through another startup. So they previously built a company called Tap Commerce that was acquired by Twitter, I think back in 2014. And so that founding team, including Brian Long, our CEO, and Andrew Jones, our chief of product, were able to kind of take that experience that they had with the success of that prior company and bring that to Attentive.
Yeah, and I can attest to your chief people officer's history and personality. He's extremely intelligent and very, very, very funny. I think he had a career in comedy if he had pushed for it. Okay, so let's get to the brass tacks here. How do candidates find jobs on your site that are entry level specifically, or internships?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do post all of our open roles on LinkedIn as well as our careers page. On LinkedIn, you can certainly kind of see there what years of experience are required, as well as in the text of all of our job descriptions. You can see kind of how many years of experience we're looking for. And then we do also post directly on job boards such as Handshake or Simplicity to kind of reach current students more directly.
And what roles do you typically hire for entry level, and not even just what you oversee, but the company as a whole?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of thinking about our go-to-market side, there are three main categories there. So for our marketing team, we hire what we call marketing strategists, which is an entry-level marketing role. On the client strategy side, we hire client strategists, which is our entry-level CS role. And then for our sales team, we hire sales development representatives or SDRs for that kind of entry-level sales role.
Okay, cool. And what is the interview process like?
Yeah. So across those three roles, it's going to be a pretty similar process, obviously just speaking with different team members, but all of those interview processes would kick off with an initial screen by somebody on the recruiting team. So that call would be followed up with someone on the team you are interviewing for, just be a call, 30-minute call to kind of start the conversation with someone on the team. For all of our roles after that, we do follow up with some type of homework assignment, we like to call it, as college students are familiar with what a homework assignment looks like. But we like to think of them more as kind of fun little projects that, are beneficial for both sides of the interview kind of process. So for us, it's a good chance for us to kind of see your working style, see some of your kind of writing samples, communication styles, see how you kind of think through a problem that might come up in the role. And then hopefully for our candidates, it's a good chance for them to kind of put themselves in the shoes of somebody in the role and see if they enjoy working on the assignment. It's usually a good sign if you enjoy the homework assignment that the role itself will be a good fit. And then as kind of a final step, we do a panel interview. So have a few kind of back-to-back one-on-ones with different members of the team. So making sure, of course, that you speak with all of the hiring managers, and then try and make it a little bit more of a cross-functional interview process as well. So for example, on the SDR panel, you'd also speak to somebody on the marketing team and one of our current account executives, just to kind of get to hear their experience from other bits and pieces of the company as well.
But what's typically the first thing you look at on a resume outside of that?
Yeah, usually just kind of start from the top down. So always get a sense of what school they're coming from, what their major is, what their GPA was, did they win any awards or scholarships that they're highlighting. Want to make sure that we see some type of relevant connection to the role that they're interested in, whether that's from prior volunteer experience, classes that they're highlighting on their resume, or of course, prior work or internship experience as well. Always a plus for us to see experience working at a startup before in some capacity, but not a requirement, but always something that we like to see.
And with resumes, do you like the standard formatted resume, or do for you personally and your team when it's designed nicely, is that a plus?
I think as long as it's clear and concise, that's the most important thing. For me, what's most important is that I can easily scan and highlight kind of what you'd want me to pick out from there. I think anything too cluttered or too long, or that includes stuff that's probably not so relevant anymore. So anything kind of pre-college is probably not necessary.
And do you have any advice on candidates that still put an objective down?
Yeah, I think it's great. Especially if you can connect it specifically to Attentive. So if you take the extra minute to, throw Attentive's company name in there and maybe give us a detail or two as to kind of why your background is well aligned with what we do. I think that's awesome. It shows a little bit of that initiative. Alternatively, I think it can be a good idea for somebody whose background on paper might look a little bit non-traditional. Maybe it's a biology major who, had a change of heart and wants to go into, more of a business kind of focused career. So maybe a way to kind of highlight that in the mission statement.
Does GPA matter?
I think it's an indicator, but it's not necessary. We don't have a GPA requirement for any of our roles.
Just on this topic, what about cover letters?
So again, I think that if it's something that can kind of lend more insight into why you're applying, that's maybe not quite as obvious from your resume itself. I think that it's always helpful.
Any interesting ways? Yeah, any interesting ways people have essentially broken through or stood out to you?
We've had candidates get creative with their LinkedIn outreach. Reach out to the hiring manager directly if you can tell a compelling story over LinkedIn.
Is that okay for you all?
Yeah, I mean, especially for our SDR roles specifically, like that's a sales job. Like you want to show that you know how to sell, and that includes yourself. And so I think that can be really compelling.
Do you encourage people to dress comfortably for interviews?
We want people to be comfortable, but also show that they've taken some thought and care into how they're presenting themselves for the interview. So I wouldn't necessarily say full suit, but maybe one step up from what you'd wear on a walk around the block.
Great. Well, this is awesome. Thanks for taking the time, Maddie. Where would you instruct any viewer to go to learn more?
Yeah, so you can head to our website, attentivemobile.com, check out our careers page. We have a blog, we have our LinkedIn, our CEO has been on podcasts, we have webinars recorded that we've done with clients, lots of really great resources.
Maddie, thanks again. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.